I just like to, my voice is loud. I just like to thank everyone for coming out today. Same with yesterday, you know, like Phoenix said, as time has gone on, when we were there with the first, I think May 31st was the first one, June the 3rd, you know, you saw the numbers, you saw the crowd, you saw the noise. And it's, as time's gone on, it's really died down for many different reasons that we don't need to get into. But I just want to thank every single one of you for coming out today, for showing your support. And I know that it doesn't stop here. You know, we've been saying it, and it's facts. It doesn't stop here. We don't come out to protest, come out to, you know, uplift black people, come out to show black culture, and then, you know, just go home and sit down. We are sitting at home, and, you know, different things like just picking up a simple book. For example, you can read Akala's book on Black Natives. You can read Why I'm No Longer Talking to Black People. You can read Black and British by David on Why I'm Not Talking to White People About Race. Sorry, not one. Yeah, Why I'm Not Talking to White People About Race. You can read Black and British. These are certain books that you can read to understand what it is that, you know, we are saying. I think in Why I'm Not Talking to White People About Race, at the beginning she was talking about how when you start to speak to white people about your experiences, not all white people, but a lot of them, when you start to speak to them about your experiences, their face shuts off. And they get very like, oh, but, you know, sometimes I get called fat and I can't find my shirt in a small size. And you're like, that literally has nothing to do with me not getting my job because I'm black. It's not the same thing. Sometimes their face kind of turns off and they're not focused on what we're saying, and it gets very tiring to continuously go to these people and say, this is what your ancestors have done, this is how I feel, this is how I've been broken down, this is how XYZ is going on. And for them, because it's not necessarily a personal thing for them as it is such for us, who's talking in the corner of my ear? Anyways, as it's not such a personal thing for them as it is for us, how it directly affects us from the moment we're born to the moment we die, when we try, and it isn't our place to explain it to them. It was at one of the protests, someone said it and it hit me in my chest. It was like, it's not our place to kill ourselves to teach this white community to treat us right. It's not our place. They came here and they decided that they are going to treat us XYZ. They decided that they are going to colonize the education system. They decided that they are not going to let us uplift ourselves. They decided all this, that, and the other to cause the everyday white man to hate black people, have unconscious bias for no reason. It's not up to us to then kill ourselves day in and day out to try and make sure that that white man does not, you know, go down the street and say the N-word, or, you know, doesn't lock his doors when he sees a black man in a tracksuit walking past. It's not up to us to send ourselves off the edge. And this is what I love about the Black Music Protest. It's a different kind of event. You don't, after you come, I don't know about you guys, but for me, after I come, when I go home, I feel so like, I feel like there's such a big weight off my shoulders. Because sometimes when you're protesting and you're hearing the stories, you're thinking about everything that as black people have just gone through, and you're just like, it's a lot. It's honestly, we have suffered a lot. We've been through a lot, and every time we try and get back up to the top, it's like a slip and slide. As we're climbing up the mountain, someone just pours oil and we all start to slide back down, and then we climb up the mountain again and then they pour oil and we all start to slide back down. And it can get really, really tiring to know that your ancestors made it this far and then they kick them back, and then your ancestors made it a little bit further and then they kick them back, and it's just this back and forth fight over and over and over again. And with things like the Black Music Protest, and with like coming out and expressing ourselves in different ways other than just, you know, yelling like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, which is a whole other thing about how we need to focus on UK and not talk about USA, but, you know, get there in a minute. It means that we can detox in a positive way. We can come here and we can vibe with each other, we can dance with each other, all different races, all different colors, sizes, shapes, whatever. We can all just kind of work together and focus on ourselves and our community and focus on how we can improve ourselves, how we can better ourselves. And like Felix said yesterday, it's not necessarily now about how we can stop that one white man from being racist to that one black guy, you know? It's not about individual cases, because as much as we can try and fight these individual cases, it is the system that keeps producing these individual cases. If we don't go to the source, if we don't go to the roots and uproot the tree, we're still going to keep getting all these rotten apples, whether we like it or not, whether we pick them all out, they're still going to keep producing more rotten apples. So we need to start being more focused with where we're going, and this comes into the fact that we keep looking at USA. Every time something happens, it's like, oh yeah, well it's worse in USA. At least in USA this, USA, and it's like, hold on a minute. Where are you from? Where is your house? UK. Where do you live? London. So why is it that you're talking to me about what's going on in New York? Why is it that you're talking to me about what's going on in London, but you don't even know how your black brother down the street just got stopped and searched for the 17th time, XYZ. You can't tell me the story about that, but you can tell me how this and that will happen in UK, in USA, and how XY and blah blah and all this and the racism and but you refuse to accept that there's racism in the United Kingdom. You refuse to accept that USA is the grandchild of UK. You refuse to accept that UK went out to USA and produced them. But you're willing to say USA is XYZ. But people, like we say, racism is not born. USA was not racist until UK stepped in the team. So UK has to be racist to put racism there. No? Alright. But we're too busy focused on ourselves, on the external. We're too busy focused on what's happening outside, what this person's doing, what that person's doing. And we can only really move forward once we internalize everything. Look at your own unconscious bias, because sometimes black people are prejudiced to other people. Sometimes we get onto other races, sometimes we make, prejudice, discriminatory statements, which we shouldn't do, because we can't say, you can't be rude to us, you can't come up for our race, but then we're coming for others. We can't do that. We need to talk, we need to make sure that when we're talking for everyone. This is why when I'm saying, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not just fighting for black people, we're also fighting for women. We're fighting for injustices everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're feeling any form of injustice, any form of oppression, and you're fighting against oppression, you come under Black Lives Matter, whether you like it or not. If you don't like black people, but you want to fight for what's going on in Kurdistan, you come under Black Lives Matter. Sorry, not sorry, that's on you. So we need to make sure we internalize our unconscious bias. We need to make sure we need to G-check ourselves before we start G-checking other people. We need to look at ourselves, see what our being is saying, see what our spirituality is saying, because before we was religious and everything else, we was connected with the ancestors, we were doing our spirituality. So we need to go back to that. We need to look at ourselves and be like, okay, why is it the way I think the way I think? Why is it the way I do what I do? How can I do what I do to make sure that black lives continue to matter? How is it that I can go into my workplace and everything I'm doing is linked back to black lives? Because at the end of the day, when you're black, everything you do is linked back to being black. So you need to make sure that everything you do is linked to black excellence. Everything you do is linked to opening doors for black people. Everything you do is linked to promoting the black community. Because if we don't promote ourselves, no one else is going to promote us.